Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Dhena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah.
V-A-I-S-H, Vaish. And I'm originally here from California Bay Area. I grew up here. I became a monk when I was in my teens. I was 16, and I decided to dedicate myself to a life of contemplation. So I've lived in monasteries a lot of my life. And after about 13 years of practicing in a monastery, I kind of came back to the world, so to speak, and got married, started a business, but throughout that time used the same principles that I learned through the practice of meditation and studying wisdom literatures for many years in practical ways. So some of those ideas that have worked for me, I try to pass on to others. And I always feel like when we're able to take a little time out from the day and come together and talk about self-improvement, self-realization, it's always beneficial. It's the foundation of our lives that allows us to effectively move about the world and utilize things for a higher purpose. And some of you, maybe you can say what drew you here today. Anybody saw the announcement, and what was it about the announcement that made you want to come? Just to give an idea. Stress. Q4 stress. Okay, stress. Q4 stress. Force deficiency, it's coming down to the last part, right? Okay, yeah. And so, what about stress that you saw?
I personally, it's one of my goals in Q4 is learning how to better manage it and essentially what to do with the stress.
Okay.
When I experience it.
Oh, good to know. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes. I was drawn to the reversal of hearing. Yeah. Great. Yeah, I mean, the idea is, stress can be talked about in many different ways, of course, but we sort of have a common understanding these days when we say stress. It means something slightly negative. It's affecting me in a way. In fact, I used the quotation probably from one of the dictionary definitions at the top of the page underneath the title. It says, a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. And so the idea of reverse engineering, when I heard about it, seemed appropriate because oftentimes stress comes as an amorphous feeling. I'm not sure where it's coming from. But if I can take one step backwards at a time and look, what is the source of it, then I can actually deal with it in a practical way. So thank you for noticing the title and responding. One or two more? Yeah.
I'll go off that and say processing.
Processing, yeah.
You can all feel it, but understand it, like you said, where it's coming from, or
Yeah.
different ways to look at it.
I'm glad you said that. When I was going over the outline today, I was noticing that word processing, and I like it a lot because oftentimes I think in terms of events, but actually most things are not so much of events, but they're processes. And learning a process, it can be helpful. It's something that we can utilize at different intervals in our lives when related to stress. We can de-stress using the process. So that's something that we can talk about today too, how it's a process. There is a process. I'll mention some kind of esoteric points, and I'll refer today to two books that are considered to be foundational in the canon of literatures that deal with yoga and meditation. And probably you've heard of both of them. One is called the Yoga Sutras. A sutra means a thread. It also means a short, pithy statement that says a lot in a few words, and then it has to be unpacked. And then the other book is called the Bhagavad Gita. Both of them are thousands of years old, and they're considered in the yoga circles to be wisdom literatures. They give us advice and principles that we can apply in our lives in different ways, and observations that can help us to have a higher perspective of ourselves, which is one of the ways in which I'll discuss philosophically one can become less stressed, by taking a higher, more philosophical view of our lives. We tend to become philosophical naturally. For instance, if you're driving your car, let's say. I don't know, does anybody have cars anymore? Or is that a thing of past? Okay, let's say you're driving your car. I meant in the city. I know obviously people drive cars, otherwise we wouldn't have seen so much traffic today. But anyway, so you're driving your car and then your car gets hit. And then what do you do then? Besides jump out and exchange insurance cards. How do you process it? Well, philosophically. For instance, one philosophical way that may sound familiar, somebody hits your car, you may say, well, it's just a car. What's that? Philosophy. It's a different perspective. You know, your car got hit, it hurt because I'm attached to the car, but then suddenly I say, well, it's just a car. Or maybe somebody, you have a relationship, one person leaves the other person, and then somebody gives you some advice to say, well, there's plenty of other people. That's also philosophy. In an elementary form, but it's one of the ways we deal with the world. So we'll talk a little bit about philosophy. But let's start with a little bit of meditation, because it's so visceral. It's something that we can feel for ourselves. And I'm going to play some music, and then I'm going to ask you to do a few things like sit up straight, close your eyes, and then I'll walk you through a scenario which will bring us to a little more introspection and balancing and things like that. Is everyone up for that? Okay.
Battery 100%. Connected to iPhone.
Find a comfortable position and sit comfortably with your spine straight and bring yourself to the present. Close your eyes. And let your thoughts and emotions come and go without judging them. Focus on your breathing. Inhale deeply, and then exhale deeply. Help yourself to concentrate on your breath by mentally saying in on the inhalations and out on the exhalations. If your mind wanders, bring it back to your breath. Now, bring your attention to your heart space. Imagine as you inhale that you're breathing a golden light into your heart. As you breathe out, the golden light fills the room around you. Breathe in soft, golden energy. Your heart is warm and open. Breathe out and release all tensions. Relax. You're on a beach, close to the ocean, but not touching it. It's a beautiful sunny day. The air is fresh. The sand is a brilliant white and the sky a clear blue. The sun pleasantly warms your skin and you can hear the waves lapping. The water is now bathing your feet. As it returns to the ocean, your feet become transparent. The next wave bathes your legs. And as it returns to its source, your legs too become transparent. Now the water is flowing up over your hips to your navel. As the water returns to the ocean, your body is transparent from the navel down. The next wave bathes you up to your neck. The water is soothing. You feel safe. As the wave pulls back, your whole body is transparent. The next wave flows over your head. You have no trouble breathing. You're very relaxed. As the water returns to the ocean, your whole body is transparent. You can no longer see it. There's only you. The you who lives in the heart of your transparent body. This you is your spiritual essence, the real you, free of all coverings. Please remain in this space and listen to a text from the Bhagavad Gita. One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady. Now transfer yourself to a verdant forest. You're sitting under a tree that is known to fulfill all desires. Very carefully notice your thoughts. Which ones are in your circle of influence that you can do something about? Which ones are simply concerning to you? Just observe them and notice. Some you can do something about, some you can't. Observe them and think which of them you'd like to keep and which you'd like to leave behind. Notice that you are the observer of your thoughts. You're not the thoughts because you're the one watching them. You have a choice which ones to keep and which ones to let go. And now, to bring your focus more deeply inward, we'll repeat a mantra that brings all the spiritual energy to one point. This is comprised of 3 letters, A-U-M, pronounced Om. I'll begin the mantra, and as you hear it, please join in. Now sit for a moment and just realize that there's a difference between your life, which is you as a conscious being, and your life situation, which is the world moving around you, various thoughts and desires that you're observing that aren't you. And just take pleasure in being conscious. And put your 2 hands together and rub them, make a little friction. And then open your eyes and look into your palms. Come back into the external world. And back into the room. Welcome back. It's always amazing how we can transfer ourselves from one place to another. And also, I notice how absorbed I can become in my external environment and forget that there is an internal environment. And this is one of the points that is made in the Yoga Sutras, that I become absorbed in the various thoughts that are orbiting around me. And this is called abhiniveshita, means absorption in things that are external to myself. And as I mentioned, there's a difference between myself or my life and my life situation. So often I'm looking at my life situation, and it's like watching a movie. When I go to a movie and the lights go out and I'm observing the characters, noticing the plot unfold, I become wrapped up in it. Vaisesika means I'm absorbed. Practically, I can forget myself and I'm identifying with the movie. And then when there's a sad occurrence, I become sad. When the hero triumphs, then I sit up, maybe tears don't come to my eyes, or endorphins are flowing, and I'm moved. And of course, the lights come back on again, and I realize that I just stepped in some bubble gum, and I don't know where I parked my car. And there's another external world there. So the Yoga Sutras describe how we have various states of consciousness. And our stress or happiness and or sadness and various emotions that we feel are in relationship to the identification I make to the various states of consciousness. So in the Yoga Sutra, we have underneath the picture I have of the book that I refer to, the Yoga Sutra translated by Professor Bryant. And the first two sutras, which describe what the book's going to be about, say, actually this is the second and third sutras. It says, yoga is the stilling of the changing states of the mind. When that is accomplished, the seer abides in its own true nature. And according to the Yoga Sutra, our own true nature is always there. And I forget about it because I'm looking elsewhere. But there's a very simple process of introspection, stilling the mind, noticing the difference between my life and my life situation, and seeing my life, actually experiencing it, that I'm a conscious entity, that I exist. It's a big deal, actually. It's the biggest deal that's going on. And when I can see that for myself, then there's an experience that makes me feel whole. And it's that experience, the Bhagavad Gita says, and the Yoga Sutras say, that helps me to overcome stress from a core level. There's various ways that I can deal with it externally too, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But the very experience that I am something, I don't have to become something else. I am something that's so substantial that all the other things that I'm trying to fix externally are superfluous to my actual existence. For instance, I can never look quite the way I want to. It's always an endeavor to adjust my appearance so that I'll look the way I want to look. But externally, it's very difficult because the body doesn't quite cooperate. Or is it just me? I mean, it's always changing, and it never, it's never quite right. I remember when I was a kid and I first looked in one of those, at a department store, you have those mirrors where you can see like front and back. And for some reason, when I was a kid, I didn't like the way the back of my head looked. And I freaked out, and my mother was, "What's wrong?" I was like, the back of my head looks so weird. She said, "It does not." But I was convinced that it did. And, in one stage or another, I'm always dealing with that, with the external world. And this is the last point I'll make before we take some reflections and discussion, but this Vaisesika, or absorption in external things, includes being absorbed in the external body. And let me explain what I mean by that. This is one of the foundational principles in all the yoga teachings, is that we're not actually our body. The body is described as a vehicle, or as I like to put, a biomechanical robot. It's got levers and pulleys, and it's not me. It's something that I'm riding around in. It's a vehicle. And my real self, my conscious self, is within the body. So when I misidentify myself as the body, then naturally I'll start to feel a little awkward and uncomfortable. And this is the beginning of stressful life, is this kind of misidentification of myself as the body. And before I go to some of the next points, I'll take a few reflections. Reflection just means anything that you heard so far, or anything that about the meditation that stuck with you, experientially, or a philosophical thought, even if it's a fragment. You can just repeat it back in, because it amplifies for the whole group. Yes. Here, we have this mic, and we can pass this around. We'll bring it to you. Okay, thank you.
So thank you for the meditation was wonderful. The meditation was wonderful.
Can you turn it up a little? It says green.
Yeah, can you hear me?
The closer you hold it, the better
Okay.
we hear you.
Try to speak loud. Meditation was wonderful, so thank you. And I really liked the water and going transparent. What surprised me when I went completely transparent was I experienced flashes of orange, and then yellow, and then purple, which surprised me because my favorite colors are blue and green. And the first thing that came to mind was chakra colors, which is still, my weakest chakra. So I'm like, why did I go orange and yellow? So it was just it's a reflection and a observation. So it was kind of interesting. But
yeah,
it felt really good.
Yeah, oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah. It's nice that it felt good, because it's something that knowing that I have a place that I can go internally, introspectively, that feels good, is one of the ways to process stress. And I'll be repeating this theme again and again, but abhini beshita means absorption in external things. I watch a scenario that's actually in my mind. I'm interpreting what's happening to me in the world in a certain way, and it's like a movie playing in my head. And because I identify with that, then I feel stressed. But when I am able to introspect and find that very stable place that is myself, my consciousness, and realize that there's a frontier there that I haven't really explored much. There are all kinds of very interesting events going on deep inside. That gives a refuge. What else? Yes. We'll get the mic to you within 3 seconds or less, or your money back from this.
So I've been practicing meditation for a couple months now.
Yeah.
And I feel now when I do meditation a couple times, I actually fall asleep, which I'm very happy with, because I feel like I was so relaxed in a way. Before, it's actually a couple of years ago, I was trying to do the meditation. It didn't work out. There are always thoughts coming in and out. Now I feel like it's, I do meditation every single day. And I'm come to a stage where I can really just get all the thought out really quickly and get myself grounded really quickly and get into that kind of snapping status, which I thought was amazing. But I don't know if that's supposed to be the way it is. But I feel like when I'm really stressed, when I do a meditation and I fall asleep, come back, it's just totally like a new person. It was pretty amazing.
Interesting. In the Yoga Sutras, as I described earlier, there are accounts of various states of consciousness. 3 of the major states of consciousness are described as awakened consciousness, sleeping, and then sleeping without dreaming. So these are 3 general categories that are described in the Yoga Sutras. And then there are many categories of consciousness that are listed as well. And these are all states of mind that are created by what is called vrittis. In Sanskrit, the word vrit means to turn. The mind's constantly turning in various ways. And the process of yoga ultimately is meant for us to see beyond the turning mind and to be able to observe something that's beneath that. Very much like, and the analogy is given frequently, when you see a pond, when it's disturbed by the wind, it's very difficult to see what's underneath it. But when it becomes calm, you can see what's below. So in a similar way, when we're able to learn to calm the turning of the mind and see beneath it, we'll realize that we have something very valuable that's within. And this takes some experimentation and time. What else from what we've said so far, or what you experienced in the meditation? Yes? 1, 2.
Yeah, from that part when you said the waves are hitting and the parts are getting disappearing, to be honest, like I was feeling scared at that moment because like it felt like a horror movie that our body parts keeps on disappearing.
Yeah.
And when I was totally disappeared, then I was feeling anxious that I'm here but no one can see me, no one can hear me. So I was just curious. You said that after I disappeared, I'm a spiritual presence. So I'm just curious that if our spiritual presence is there, and if you don't acknowledge it, does it also feel annoyed, frustrated because it's something there and no one is acknowledging it to be present?
Well, one of the phenomena that's discussed in these literatures is that I project my consciousness into other things. And on the outline, it's talked about I and mine. So there are many objects in my world, right? Do you have any objects in your world? And they're really just objects, but then some of them I designate as mine. Then they change. They have a different meaning in my life. In some ways, they can become burdensome because now they're my objects, and I have to deal with them. And if one's very objective, one can see that actually things are things. And all the things in the world, basically from the point of the conscious being, are the same. But some of them, when I designate as mine, I say this is my car, my house, my country, my sports team, then it becomes a point of concern for me because I'm identified with them. Now, I may also do that with my body. I project myself into my body and I'll say I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a cat, I'm a dog. Because in the scheme of what is called transference of consciousness, the conscious living being is in different environments. It's never diminished by the environment. It's never changed by the environment, but it does identify with the environment. So the idea is I'm not my body, but I'm in a body. And while I'm in the body, it's quite natural for me to identify with it and think this is me. Just as much as, and I gave the example earlier, you're in your car and you identify with the car. If somebody hits your car, what do you say? Well, you'll say that after you say this, you hit me. You didn't actually hit your car. But because I identify with my car, because it's my car, I mean, some cars getting hit right now in San Francisco, I guarantee you. And we're not that worried about it because it's not our car. But if it is your car, then you'll be worried about it. But really, philosophically, a car is a car. It's sheet metal and glass, and it's an object. So in a similar way, I become absorbed in my body, and I think I'm my body. But as mentioned in these metaphysical wisdom literatures, the body isn't even something stable. And this is a statement that was made by a philosopher many years ago, that you can't step in the same river twice. Have you ever heard that? Okay, let's analyze it just for a second. What river do we have nearby here? Not many in San Francisco. Russian River. Okay, if you go to the Russian River and you step in, right now it'll be nice and cold, and you come out. A minute later you step in, it's a different river because it's constantly in flux. So we might also say that you can't breathe in the same body twice. And if you analyze your physical body, you'll see that it's actually in flux constantly if you look at it carefully. For instance, I I don't know, at home, do you ever notice dust in your house? Do you get dust, or is it just me? Well, my mother informed me when I was a kid, said, that's your skin. The skin sloughs off, and it goes all over the place. It's just a fact that the external layer of the skin is constantly being sloughed off, and where does it go? Into the environment somewhere. And in a similar way, all the cells in the body, some of them are a little more stable than others, but at least every 7 years, every cell is completely different. That means 7 years ago, you had a different body. And very obviously, 15 years ago, your body was very different. So the body's changing. It's not that it just stretched out. It's the same thing. But it's actually all the cells are constantly changing, just like a river's constantly changing. So in the body that we're in is something much like a river. It's practically 75% water anyway. It's constantly moving. All the cells are in flux. So an observation from a philosophical point of view would be, I'm not my body. The body is a changing thing. I'm not. I'm the observer of the body. I'm different. And this is the basis of being solidly situated on a ground that is free from anxiety. When I identify with objects, including my body, and I think, oh, that's me or that's mine, and I'm going to lose it, which is a fact, then I start to feel anxiety. That's fairly philosophical, isn't it? Would you agree? Yeah. You had a question in the back, right? Yes, you got the mic.
Thank you.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So as I was meditating along with you...
but you got to keep the mic right in front of you.
Okay.
Thanks.
Better?
Yes.
Yeah. So I felt very uneasy for a couple of moments, and I started panicking about all the tasks, all the emails. I can envision them in my head, one by one, the tasks and the emails, and I don't know how I let it go, but somehow I was able to let it go and follow the rhythm of the waves. But I remember feeling very uncomfortable in that moment, and I realized after we're done that I experience that when I meditate alone, and oftentimes when I come to that stage, I stop my practice, and I would somehow get to whatever comes to mind, feeling that I need to I feel a little bit guilty spending the time meditating instead of doing whatever other tasks. So.
Yeah. Thank you for giving some very honest points. And it can be very helpful to see one's own internal environment very closely. Oftentimes I'm so absorbed in the tasks that I'm doing from one to the next and worrying about them that I just take on that worry and stress myself. And I think, I am stressed. This is my life. I am my life situation. But when I'm able to step back for a moment through introspection and see that actually I'm watching those circles of thoughts going around and anxieties and so forth, and I'm able to see them and therefore understand that I'm the observer of them, I'm not those things, then even in a brief moment of observation, I can get some distance from that and notice the difference between my life, my conscious self, and my life situation that's constantly moving. And that translates out into being able to deal with the world and the situations in a more objective way when I am engaged. And so there's a term in yoga practice called abhyas. And abhyasa means that you practice regularly, because there are ways in which the mind will say, yesterday you practiced, so don't practice today, we're too busy. And therefore, abhyas means that you should be diligent and consistent, because if you're able to carve out some time, even a tiny bit of time, to be introspective on a regular basis, then it starts to have deeper and more profound effect, and it will actually help you in the rest of your life, and the way you deal with stress, and the way you deal with situations that come up. You'll be less reactive, and you'll be able to create a little more space between the time when something happens and the time that you give your response. And actually, this makes all the difference in the world. We have a little free will, and the time to use it is between the time when something happens to us and when we respond. As the more we're able to be thoughtful about our response, the more effective we'll be in our lives. And so one of the ways to do that really is to take time on a regular basis, even when you don't feel like it. And if you can develop a regular practice of doing that, it has a systemic effect on your life. Yes.
I think I'm pretty loud without it, but I typically think of water a lot in my practice to just feel more fluid and to calm down. So I found it really easy when we were in that setting to become transparent, but I found myself when we moved to the forest that I became a body again. I think because like trees are hard and more tangible, I kind of noticed that transition, and that's really all I got.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. Very interesting how we're affected by our environment, not just externally, but even internally, when we're looking internally. And all these are experiments in consciousness. There is a way in which one can go through one day without observing one's own consciousness. True or false? Is it possible to go throughout a whole day, 24 hours a day, without actually taking time to observe and think about who am I, what am I doing in the world, how did I get here, what is the sun, what is the moon, you know, these kinds of things that you might have done when you were a kid. I used to, with my brother, we'd sometimes, when we were kids, we'd lie out in the backyard in sleeping bags, look up at the sky and just like, what is it? And just ask these kind of questions like, how did we get here? And so forth. These are interesting. Later on, we may become so absorbed in making progress, keeping up with things, that we may not be so observant. We may not have time to do that. So we've agreed that you could do that for 24 hours without taking time, right? How about for a week? How about for a month? 10 years? How about 100 years? So there's an old saying that the unobserved life is not worth living. So this self-observation is available to anybody. It's something that's free. And if you take time for self-observation, it's really, even from a very empirically observable standpoint, something that can make your life better. Introspection, becoming more aware of who you are. I'm going to look at my watch because I'm not sure what time it is, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to rush things. Okay, now I know what time it is. And now I'm going to rush things. Okay, so a few points that I wanted to go over on the outline. And this is a little bit, are you ready for a little more yoga philosophy? Is it okay? Okay, so origins of stress. You'll see near the top of the page, our psychological dispositions are a result of the combinations and permutations of the three gunas we have acquired. So what are the three gunas? They are what are called modalities that we're affected by in this world. So there are three major categories of modalities according to yoga philosophy. The first one is called sattva. Everyone please say. Sattva. Second one down is called rajas. Please say rajas. And the third one is called tamas. Tamas. So sattva roughly translated means goodness, and some of its qualities are lucidity, tranquility, discrimination. Rajas, passion. Its qualities are hankering, restlessness, energetic endeavor. And then ignorance, or tamas, delusion, disinclination toward constructive activity, or lethargy. Any of the descriptions of those in any of the three categories that you could identify with that affect you in your life? Which ones did you notice? When you heard it, you said, yeah, I've experienced that before. Restlessness, yeah. Whichever one. Which other ones did you identify with? Which one? Energetic, yeah. I really like and identify with disinclination toward constructive activity. I mean, I can think of times, I'm sitting in my room and I see, there's something on the floor, and then, pick it up. It's like, I don't want to. You can barely move. We're affected by these modalities, says the Bhagavad Gita. And not only that, they're always churning and mixing. So there are combinations and permutations of these three modalities. And those of you who have studied statistics know how to mix them all together and see how many combinations and permutations there are. And so the world is affected by these three modalities. And when we come in contact with them in various ways in our lives, due to our habit patterns, we acquire them. So some people are more affected by sattva. They're more lucid. They're more introspective. They are more tranquil and so forth. Others more by rajas. They're dominated by rajas, hankering, restlessness, energetic endeavor, and some by tamas. You see the effect of tamas: delusion, disinclination, lethargy, and so forth. So one of the ways that the yoga process advises us to become free from stress is to be wary of connecting ourselves with rajas and tamas. And for instance, the Bhagavad Gita goes through a long list of scenarios in which, for instance, you might be in contact with rajas, or you might be in contact with tamas, the two lower modes. When I associate with those modes, I pick up the qualities because I'm a very porous being. Porous means, there's a lot of ways that whatever I associate with, I become. Does that ring true to you? We become what we associate with. And it's because of these three modes. So there are habits that are more in the mode of sattva. And for instance, adjusting various habits in your life that are more sattvic oriented helps one to be more lucid and to be more introspective and to be naturally free from stress. What are they? Just as you are what you eat. Have you ever heard that? Does it ring true? You are what you eat? Physically. It's the holiday time. People give you cookies and cakes. If you eat them all, you might notice a difference, right? No? We know that. There's a consequence. I like that word. Consequence. There's a sequence. Something happens when I do this and that. So in a similar way, it also affects our diet. It affects our minds, according to the yoga literatures, and also our spiritual perspective and our ability to introspect. So there are ways in which to adjust one's environment, including diet and the kind of lifestyle that you live. So these are things that can be looked into. And there's a lot about it in the yoga literature about, slight tweaks you can make to your lifestyle, and you'll notice it for yourself. When you do that you come more in contact with sattva. And one of the points of contact that we have with these three modalities has a lot to do with sound. And a lot is made of sound in the yoga literatures. It's called Shruti. And it's considered to be the most powerful of elements, the sound element. And so when we're discriminating about what kind of sound we take into our lives, that will also affect our consciousness and our ability to be tranquil, be in the mode of sattva, and overcome stress. This is something I like to say. if you don't like what you're being subjected to, then change the subject. And the subject has to do with mostly what we're listening to. I found myself, I was at I don't know who thought of putting televisions in grocery stores when you're standing in a line, but I was questioning the wisdom behind it. but one day I was standing, there was some news program on, and I found myself watching it, getting carried away by it, and then sort of feeling this kind of stress or anxiety. And then I thought, well, don't watch it. There's a novel idea. And as soon as I did that, I realized that I had some free will to not look at it. And so in all other ways, the yoga literatures recommend, observe what you're subjecting yourself to. What kind of sound vibration are you letting into your life? You can see what quality it is, and then see for yourself whether you want to keep it or not. And this is a very practical thing. And finally, there's meditation. And the kind of meditation that I learned from my teacher many years ago is an age-old process called mantra meditation. So the reason that it has been passed down for many generations is because the mantra itself has its own spiritual quality. And that's something to be tested for oneself to see. The word man means mind, and tra comes from a Sanskrit word which means to free, to deliver. So as we discussed before, the mind is moving always. It's called, there are vrittis, there are turnings in the mind, there are scenarios, there are movies that are constantly playing, and I'm identifying with them and they're pulling me in different directions. So to still the mind, the mantra is there. And we have to focus the mind somewhere. Is one of the objects of meditation. So the mantra is a group of syllables that one can repeat. And as you're repeating them, you listen to the sound and you focus your mind there. And naturally, when the mind goes somewhere else, you bring it back to the mantra. And this is one of the ways in which one can overcome the churning of the mind and overcome stress. I've made some general points today, and we've also gone through a practice together of introspection through guided meditation. We took time to observe the difference between the body and the self, and also to look out and see what kinds of desires and thoughts are naturally in the orbit of our mind, and to notice that we're different from them. And many of you have shared your realizations in different ways. And now we have just about 5 more minutes. And if you have any realizations that you're taking away from today that you've encapsulated, like what's the one thing that you would say that you're taking away from your session today? Like when you walk out and you get on the elevator and somebody grabs you by the arm and says, what was that guy talking about in there? What's the one thing that you would say that you heard here that you'd taken away in your pocket, that you maybe use when you get home and you get in your car? Yes.
Is like what kind of a person or energies you want to be, then hang out with a person with that kind of energy, or just try to absorb those type of energies around you.
That's nice. I mean, that's the easy way to do it, because according to the Bhagavad Gita, there's a famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita that says, Purusha prakriti stohi bhunte prakriti jangunan karanam guna sangosya sarasad yoni janmasu. That whatever good or bad situations you find in your life are a result of your previous association. In Sanskrit, it's an interesting word. It's called sangha. Could you say sangha? So an anga in Sanskrit means a part. Like my arm is an anga of my body, is it not? And my hand is an anga of my arm. I have a lot of angas, a little angi. So I have a lot of connected parts. So sa-anga means that where I make my connections. And then it becomes part of me. So when I associate in different ways, then I start to take on those qualities, and it will affect my consciousness and the direction I'm going in my life. I really liked your point. Thank you. A couple more? What are you taking away? Yes.
This association, right? Just observing the things as it is and not really getting the higher self connected with it, which creates the stress because it's the meaning. So when we started with the word processing, that's really what happens. We process the situation, we put meaning into it, and it becomes something different, which gives us anxiety.
What a good point. I'm glad I came today, just to hear that. But really, because there's so many times an event is unfolding in my life, and then the stress level starts to go up because I'm identifying with it. And because I've taken time, for instance, we took time today in this session, all of us, to think about this. Now, when the next event unfolds in my life that could be very stressful, I'll have some fortification because I've thought about it. I took some time for this, and then I'll be able to call on this idea that actually I'm the observer. This is a very powerful kind of a technique. And it's actually not just a technique, but it's actually our existential position that we're observing what's going on in the world. And if you can have that experience that I'm observing, I'm watching what's going on, it's not happening to me, it's happening around me. And how I interpret that is up to me. I have a choice. That's my free will. And that makes all the difference in the world, because as every self-help guru in the world will tell you, it's not what happens to you in life that matters, it's what you do about what happens to you. And if you're fortified through the process of, philosophically being able to process things and also having some experiential, where do you go from experiential? Having some experience, that's a better word. Having experience for yourself, then you'll be able to process it as it occurs. And that's the real art of moving through the world without getting touched. In fact, in the Gita, it's mentioned the analogy of a lotus flower. Of course, when you talk about Eastern philosophy, lotuses come up a lot. And I've heard them so many times and many analogies that have to do with lotuses. But I go to Japan twice a year, and in Osaka, there's a botanical garden that I visit. And especially if I'm there in the summertime, I don't recommend it because it's really hot and muggy. But it's worth it to see the lotuses because they bloom at that time. And they're avid gardeners. And the botanical gardens there has a mind-blowing display of various species of lotuses. So in looking at them, you can observe and see how the analogy works. That the lotus, although it grows out of the mud in the bottom of the pond and comes to the top, and although it sits in the water all the time, it's never touched by the water. So you think, how does that work? When you look at the lotus leaf, actually, there's some kind of fibers on it. So when the water touches it, you can observe with your own eyes that it's actually not communing with the leaf at all. It's actually superfluous to the leaf, even though it's on it. So in the same way, in the Gita, it is said that we have to come to the point of consciousness in order to avoid this ongoing stress, that we're able to be in the world but not affected by it. And so these kinds of discussions and experiences can help us to come to that level. And that, as they say, is the end. And as Elvis used to say, thank you very much. So as there's a meditation club here that Manu runs, and they meet bi-weekly. Normally after any of these sessions, we have, for those of you who have a few extra minutes, am I saying the right thing? Okay. We have an extra, a little add-on afterwards. a meditation session for mantra meditation. So if you want a primer on mantra meditation, then I'm going to stay after a few minutes. We'll have like a tighter circle, and then I'll go through just a few techniques that you can take home and you can try it on your own, the mantra meditation. Correct? Okay.
Thank you so much, Vash, for coming here. And thank you everyone for taking your time on Tuesday afternoon for this week of well-being. One thing is that I hope this holiday season you carry all these points and you get benefited from the talk. Also, there are some cookies for this before you leave. Please stay back for the mantra meditation session, since it's also time where you can sit and make your goals, not just, we make all our goals, so you can also sit around and learn this technique, and you can take back home for this before you leave for your holidays or vacation, and keep a goal to practice this form of meditation. Thank you very much. And please, Dasa.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I started in a natural circle. So, thank you for staying after. Manu, do you have beads? You have. I will show you how to do the mantras on beads, because it's helpful in a couple of ways. One is that you can count the mantras. Mantras are countable, and this is what is called in mantra meditation practice numerical strength. And of course, if somebody gives you as a gift for the holidays a wild horse, it may take you a little time to make friends with it and to come to an understanding that we're friends and we'll work together. So in a similar way, we have a mind, and you only get one, but it does take a while to bring the mind to terms with your goals in life, especially when it comes to introspection and so forth. So I say that because it's a discipline and it's a practice. And in any discipline or practice, people take it up. For instance, in January this year, there will be a spike in sign-ups for gyms around the San Francisco area. And by February, the attendance will go down again. So a law I learned in accounting called the law of diminishing intention. As time goes by, our intention tends to wane. So to be a success in the practice of mantra meditation, it's good to pick a number of mantras that you'll say every day and keep it up even when you don't feel like it. Anyway, you know all about that, otherwise you wouldn't be where you are in life, sticking to things. So it's the same with meditation. It's not that, you'll do a few mantras and then suddenly you'll have such a overwhelming experience that, you'll drop everything in your life and be fully absorbed in chanting. It'll happen in a subtle way, but you have to keep at it. So the mantra, there are many, many mantras. But one of them that has lasted over generations and has been passed down is called the Maha Mantra. It has 3 words in it, and each one of them refers to our original divine source. That it's, the theory behind it is we all come from an original divine source. And when we say these words, they're actually surcharged with some spiritual energy. And so when you repeat the mantra, you can simply be aware of the fact that it has its own potency and keep it before you. How do you keep it before you? By being aware that you're chanting. Because just like with anything else, you can be absent-present or present-absent, which means that you can say the mantra, or just like when you're reading a book, that your mind can be thinking about, preparing your taxes or something like that. So the first and most important aspect of mantra meditation is be aware that you're chanting. And you don't have to do anything extra, but you do have to listen and be aware that you're chanting. And if you do that, then you'll notice the effects of the mantra much more readily and more profoundly as you continue. And on this little card, it says Mantra Meditation Guide. The mantra is printed on the very back. And it's written phonetically because it's from Sanskrit, so it looks a little different than it's actually pronounced. So I'll say the words, and then you can repeat, and then you'll know how to pronounce them. Okay? So it goes like this. Do you have it? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So altogether, this is called the Maha Mantra. So to complete one mantra, you would say all 16 of the words in succession, and then that completes the mantra. And then the way to use the beads, this bead with the little tuft on top, this is called the head bead, and you don't chant on that bead. But you chant on the bead that's right next to it, and you generally hold the bead with two fingers, these two, the thumb and the middle finger, like that. And so you'll notice that I'm holding the first bead in these two fingers, and when I say the mantra, I kind of roll it a little bit. You know, it's a sort of a tactile experience you have when you hold the bead, and it helps also to stay focused. So you have this experience that as you're doing a meditation, you're also holding on to something. And when I've completed one mantra, then I pull to the next bead. So now you can see, hopefully, that I'm on number 2. And this would be the second mantra. And then similarly, third. And then if I go all the way around, I come to the head bead again, and then I turn around again. So I turn around and go back the other direction. And if in my practice I go all the way around on a string of beads like this, then in common parlance it's called doing one round. I've gone around once, so it's one round. So some people, you know, in their practice, they get up to one round. So how many are you doing? One round a day. Or somebody's doing 2 rounds. I'm doing 2 rounds. Some people do more than that. So that gives you an idea of counting. And then you can find a time when you can give a little attention, and you can, you know, sit somewhere in your home or in a park or in your office and do your mantras and concentrate on them. If you really have to, you can say them internally, although that's very difficult at first, because one of the powers of the mantras is if you say it out loud and listen to the vibration, it helps you to focus more. And so having a time or a place when you can actually say the mantra out loud and listen to it is the best. And we'll try this together, do a few mantras together, and listen to the sound. But before we go into it, do you have any questions? Yeah. Yes, right. Like, you know, when you do laps on a pool, you dive in, you go to the end, then you turn around and come back. So it's the same thing here. You go all the way around, you turn around, and you come back the other direction. Yes, good point. So in Sanskrit, the word hara means the feminine energy of our original divine source. And when it's in vocative form, which means you're saying it kind of like as an expression, like, you know, if you walk by a high school and there's a bunch of kids talking, mostly what you hear them saying is, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's kind of like, they're just saying it's like an expression. So this is written in a form like that. So hare, it's like calling out to that energy, that divine feminine energy. And And it also means, Hara means the one who removes all your obstacles. Takes away the obstacles on your, your spiritual quest. So it's calling in for help. And then the word Krishna, it comes from the Karshna in Sanskrit, Karshana, which means the attractor. Our minds are attracted to various things in the world, and the idea is that these are all reflections. Whatever I see that's attractive here is a reflection from our original divine source, whose name is Krishna, and that's the origin of all attraction. So whatever's beautiful, whatever's aesthetically pleasing, it all comes from the original source, and that's the name Krishna, which means all attractive. And then Rama means the kind of inner happiness that allows you the luxury to forego all kinds of entangling and lower things in the world. Rama means the highest inner happiness that you can experience. And those who experience it are able to enjoy life on a much higher level. So Rama means spiritual pleasure. It also means strength, a spiritual strength that you get from within. These are not anything distinctive as far as the wood goes, but because the whole intentionality behind it is really meant for meditation, whenever you see these, I mean, first of all, you notice it's in a circle, so you're not really going anywhere. You end up in the same place, which is a kind of a reminder that there is no place to go. You're going inwardly. Oftentimes in rajas, middle mode, where I'm very active and I'm trying to get somewhere. My thing is, I'm here, I want to get here. But the idea behind this is there's nowhere really to go. You already exist and you always will exist, you always have existed, and when you experience that, then that's real happiness. And so the circle reminds you of that. It's a very popular symbol, the circle. So you can remember that. But sometimes they use a special wood from plants that are considered to be very auspicious. I don't think these are, though. Anything else? That's right. Well, the other thing is, in the science of the Bhagavad Gita, any so-called material thing that you use for a spiritual purpose, it transforms it. And an example that's given, not in the Gita but elsewhere, is that if you take an iron rod and you put it in fire and you leave it there long enough, then the iron rod will transform and it will become fire-like. It looks like fire. I just saw that recently in Japan, in Takayama. There's still blacksmiths there. It's up in the mountains. Have you been there? Takayama? Oh. And there, I saw somebody working with iron, and I came back an hour later, and it was red hot. So the same thing, whatever so-called material thing that we have, if we use it for a higher cause, then it transforms it. Thank you. So one trick for meditation is if you just sit up a little straighter than you are already at any time, then it puts your mental system on alert. You sit up, and in fact, if you're sitting across from somebody, you sit up, they'll sit up too, because they're like, what? This is important, right? So that's why yogis sit up straight when they meditate. It brings your attention to the fore. And if you don't know the mantra already, you can look at it. You don't have to close your eyes when you chant, but just make sure that you listen to the mantra. And we'll try the first, we'll go a half a round, okay? So we get halfway through, I'll just stop, and then we can all stop. And we'll try the first half a round in unison. And we'll say the mantra together, and there's some power in that, saying it in unison. Okay? Are you ready? Okay. So if you mess up with pulling the beads down, don't worry about it. Just do the best you can and try to hear the mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, we did one round instead of half, so that's okay. And also, if you before you start your chanting, if you take a minute or two to center yourself the way we did in that earlier meditation, to look inside, and you can just take a moment to observe the fact that you're the observer and that you're separate from your thoughts. And you really focus in on your conscious awareness and be aware that you're aware. And then you start chanting. Another thing that you can do is notice that you're in a body. And for instance, sometimes before I start chanting, I notice that my heart is beating. Did anybody notice today that your heart is beating? I mean, did you stop at any point and say, thank you very much for helping me out? It's pretty rare, to actually become aware of these things. But even becoming aware of the bodily functions, you can see the heart is beating. I I take my breath for granted, but if I'm short of breath or I'm choking or something like that, it becomes like the best thing in the world that I'm able to take my next breath. So if you're able to, fix your mind in that point and start from that point of gratitude that I'm being sustained. The breath is coming to me as a free gift. My heart is beating as a benevolent friend, helping me sustain myself. And then you realize that you're in a body and you start to chant. It can be very profound also. And any realizations or reflections from just this session, from the chanting or the thoughts about mantra meditation or questions? Yes.
I'm not sure I internalized what the mantra meant. Like, I'm having a hard time remembering what each of the words meant.
So, Krishna means the original source of everything, and it's all attractive. And Hare means the energy of that original divine source. And Rama means the pleasure that comes from contacting that original divine source. There's a lot. You say? Someone say? Yes. Just that there's in yoga literature, there's a distinction between lower energies and higher energies. Everything we see around us is energy in various forms. But it's a science of understanding that there's some energies that are higher and some are lower. And as a category of energy, the mantra comes from a higher source of energy. And it's describing the original source of spiritual energy. And when we associate with that, I talked about association. When you associate with that higher energy, then you should feel it for yourself at some point, because we become what we associate with. And you'll notice that you'll develop some qualities that are beneficial, and you'll feel the effects of associating with the mantra. Yeah. Yeah, and also, and put another way, the positive energies are there within the mantra itself. And it goes to the science of sound, that sound carries consciousness. And that when if you will, the mantra itself is like a spiritual formula. Formulas are interesting, 1 part this, 3 parts that, and you drink it and it has an effect. So in a similar way, the mantra is said to have it's a formula, and it has its own spiritual potency, its own spiritual power. And one of the most effective ways of coming to know that is to practice it yourself. There's an old saying that the test of the pudding is in the tasting. You can look at the pudding and you go like, well, it looks really good, but I'm not sure if it's good or not. But then if you taste it and you go like, it's really good, then you'll know for yourself. So experiential helps out. Yeah. Well, one thing is, thank you. One thing is that the mantra has a mystical sound. And when you're listening to it, when you start noticing that the sound is like no other sound that you've heard before, that it's a fascinating sound, it's intriguing to your mind, this is one of the first signs that the mantra is having some effect on you. And I think we could end there, because everyone's got places to go and things to do, and it's better to go out on top rather than through attrition. So thank you very much for taking your valuable time today, and good luck chanting, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, hey, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman, Nachari Armarman.